Yo, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Rufus Johnson back again. I want to say happy New Year to everybody. I hope you're having a blessed and prosperous new year so far. Listen, I want to do something a little bit different today. Normally, I do video reactions and things that I like for those that are subscribed and always checking me out. Thank you so much. However, I want to react to a recent article posted by Rolling Stone magazine of the top 200 greatest singers of all time, according to their list that they curated for 2022. Got some thoughts about it? Let's talk about it. Now, this video is in no way meant to disrespect any of the artists on the list. I don't ever want to be disrespectful. Anybody who made the list is very deserving of it, and I'm happy for everybody who's on the list. But there are a couple of things that I would have saw, and I just wanted to talk about some of my opinions about it. I will admit there's some bias based on my age, based on my culture. There are certain singers and certain artists that I know more about than I do others, so I admittedly have a bias. But I'll try to keep it as unbiased as possible, but I will lead by saying there will be a little bit of bias. I feel like overall the list was really pretty good. I think that there were a couple of people that I felt like should have been higher on the list. When I say higher, I mean they should have had a lower number on the list, closer to the top. There are some people that I feel like they could have been a little bit lower, or somebody else could have kind of replaced them. And there were a couple of people that were completely left off the list that I thought was a travesty. I thought they really should have been on there. I'm going to name them as well. All right, so let's get started with the top of the list. At the number one spot, we have the Queen of Soul, Miss Aretha Franklin. Now, I don't have a problem with Aretha Franklin being number one. I think she has a great long career, a lot of string of hits. She has a lot of Grammy Awards. Like, she's well known and well respected, a big time influence in the culture to singers and musicians alike that have come after her and her contemporaries as well. Very deserving of that spot. All right, number two, Whitney Houston. Now, Whitney Houston is definitely going through a period right now with the new movie that's out. She's going through a surge of popularity. I definitely think she is in a one-of-a-kind voice, and I don't have a problem with her being number two as well. I think she's, if not number one, she's one of the highest-selling females of all time as well, so definitely put her up there. Number three, Sam Cooke. You know, I ain't got no problem with Sam Cooke. Anybody who knows me know that I'm a Sam Cooke super fan. Man, get that man his flowers. Who knows what his career would have been had he lived and was able to get old like Aretha Franklin, like some of the other people. But the people that I know, everybody like Aretha Franklin, always mention how much she loves Sam Cooke. This man, even though he died very young, and he left a long legacy, and I think he definitely affected singers that were with him and singers that came after him. So Sam Cooke definitely deserves to be on this list. Number four, Billie Holiday. Baltimore native, legendary jazz singer, definitely a very unique sound in her voice that you definitely can hear aspects of her voice in people like Erykah Badu, Jasmine Sullivan. Anybody who has kind of that rasp to their voice, you definitely can hear it. Definitely, I believe she needs to be on the list. Number five, Mariah Carey. Now, I think Mariah Carey, this one kind of struck me a little bit as like, man, she's kind of high to me, you know what I'm saying? But then I have to stop and kind of think, definitely songwriter, singer, one of those premier voices, has been for the last 30 years. I remember when she first came out in the 90s. She kind of took things by storm. Nobody had heard anybody like her since Minnie Riperton and people like that who have like that whistle tone. So I definitely remember her being a big deal, and she has carried on her voice and even to now, and she's even written the best Christmas song or the most popular Christmas song in All I Want for Christmas Is You. So it's like you can't deny her. And I can't remember if it's her or Whitney Houston that is the top selling female of all time. I don't want to look it up, but it's one of them two. So both of them being in the top five, I can sort of understand it. I ain't really got a beef with that. Number six, Ray Charles, the man himself. Definitely got to put Ray Charles up there pretty high. Legendary musician, singer, songwriter, all of that, man. He's the man. Number seven, Stevie Wonder, man. Stevie Wonder is a national treasure. We have to protect him at all costs, and he's still living, still doing his thing. Man, I'm starting to get in more into Stevie Wonder. I definitely knew a few songs of his, but I'm starting to try to get more into his catalog and into his writing and his chord changes and the way that he approaches music. It's just pure genius. It's just pure genius. Definitely Stevie Wonder needs to be up here. Number seven, I like it. Number eight, Beyonce. At first, it's kind of, I have to kind of think about it, but because Beyonce is like my age, but Beyonce has put work in, man, and you cannot, I don't think you can think of this list without putting Beyonce on the top 10, but I think there are some other artists that are not in the top 10 that should be as well as her. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Number 9, Otis Redding. This one, I love Otis Redding, but this one I kind of felt like he needs to be on the list, but not top 10 though. Like I felt like Otis Redding, he had a very, very short career. He died in I think 1967, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He was 27 years old, died in a plane crash. Had a very kind of short career. I think he had a couple of hits, but he had a pretty short career. But he did some great songs, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, Try a Little Tenderness. Those are some songs that were some of the great hits of his. Number 10, Al Green. I like Al Green. He's definitely one of my favorite male singers of all time. He's got plenty of albums, been at this thing, doing this thing since the late 60s, early 70s. String of hits. Great story. I mean, influence on a lot of people. That falsetto tone is unmatched, man. So I have to say, he's cold, man. If you ever get a chance to check out his stuff on Soul Train back in the day, check him out. He is super, super, super cold. I like it. Let's go on. Number 11. Little Richard. I'm not sure about Little Richard. He's the architect of rock and roll. That is a fact. So you can't take that away from him. Definitely wrote some great hits. He was around, before the Elvis Presleys of the world, and he was one of those people that those folks were watching, and they were Pat Boone. They were, re-singing his songs, recutting them, and not giving him his royalties and stuff like that. So you have to give him his flowers. 11 just seems like, when you look at the top 10 so far, number 11 is like, man, when you think of some of the people that I have in my mind that have not been mentioned yet, I don't know. We ain't seen Prince yet. We ain't seen Michael Jackson yet. I don't know, man. There's a lot of people I could think of. Let's keep going though. Number 12, John Lennon. Now, John Lennon's the first one that we've come to that I'm not familiar with. I don't listen to the Beatles. I've never really listened to the Beatles. I've never listened to John Lennon. So to me, I don't understand it as far as singers, like pure T singers. I don't know what the list is. What's the list comprised of? What are the criteria for the list? Is it singing ability? Is it the amount of records, your discography, your number of awards, cultural impact? They didn't really make it clear what it is, but I don't know. John Lennon, I don't know. I mean, he's definitely a big cultural figure. He was shot in the back by a crazed fan in the 80s, I want to say. It was a tragedy. He was people love him. I just don't know that I would like listen to him sing and be like, oh, John Lennon is just like, crazy good singer. But, I don't know. Patsy Cline. I definitely have heard of Patsy Cline. I know she's a country singer. I actually found out a couple of days ago that she's actually was born in Virginia. If you don't know, I live in Richmond, Virginia. And I just don't, I don't know much about her to speak on her. I mean, I'm sure she's legendary and all of that. It says here she's passed away in a plane crash as well. So I just don't know enough about her to mention it. So I'm gonna move on. Freddie Mercury, the man, lead singer for Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody, We Are the Champions, We Will Rock You. Incredible vocalist, just period. Like, he's one of those guys that could just do whatever he wanted to do with his voice. Prolific songwriter. If you've heard Bohemian Rhapsody and the background vocal arrangements and all of that, I mean, it's crazy stuff. This is no auto-tune. This is straight up skill. All right, let's keep going. 15, Bob Dylan. Once again, I don't know much about him. I know he's like a folk singer, prolific songwriter. I think for his crowd, his crowd loves him. That's Bob Dylan. He's the man. So he needs to be in the list. You know what I mean? I just don't know enough about him to speak on him. There he is, the man, Prince. I thought Prince should have been higher, but this is respectable. No, number 16 is definitely respectable. I mean, the man had a 40+ year career. Died in 2016. I remember that. Died on April 21st. I'll never forget it. Sometimes it snows in April. String of hits, string of songs, great songs. I'm not sure if he has as many of the accolades as I think he should have had. Adore, Sign of the Times. I mean, great. I'm sitting here reading some of this stuff, but I love Prince. I think he's amazing musician, songwriter, producer, just multi-instrumentalist. I mean, you just can't deny him. He's just the man. He's just the man. Let's keep going. Trying to keep it quick. Elvis Presley, number 17. I don't know. You know what I mean? Elvis Presley's the man. I mean, I never thought of Elvis as like this like awesome, amazing singer per se. Definitely the king of rock and roll. You know, to me, it just hits me a little bit different. He's okay, he's cool. I got a chance to go to Graceland last year and check it out and see what the fuss was about. I ain't gonna lie, they do a really good job of keeping his legacy alive and like making you be like oohing and on about him. But to me, I don't know, man. Like he just seemed like he did what a lot of black artists were already doing. So I don't really know if I can give him too much credit, but culturally he's an icon, so he's got to be on the list. Number 18, Celia Cruz. I'm sorry if I messed the name up. I don't know about her at all. I think I may have heard the name before, but I don't know anything about her music, but I'm sure she's dope. Number 19, Old Blue Eyes, Frank Sinatra. I can see Sinatra being up here. I mean, long career, many albums, many songs. I mean, he came from an era where they were doing multiple albums a year, and it was just album after album, standards and all kind of stuff. He's the gold standard of crooning and that kind of thing. He's got to be on here. Marvin Gaye, number 20. I can see that for sure. Number 20. I can see Marvin Gaye being up here. He definitely needs to be up here. I could almost make the argument that he could be up in the top 10 because just vocally, I mean, very clean. I mean, very clean voice. Did what he wanted to do with his voice. To me, as a singer, the ability to sing and move a crowd. Marvin Gaye is bar none to me. I think he needs to be a little higher. Nina Simone. I don't know much about Nina Simone, but I know Nina Simone is felt. You know what I mean? She's felt, her words are felt, her music is felt. I don't have a problem with her being on this list and being up there pretty high. Adele, number 22. Adele is an amazing singer. And whenever she comes out, I believe she has 3 albums. And whenever she drops an album, it goes ballistic because people just feel her emotion and her music. They feel what she's about. So I think she should be up here. I kind of feel like, man, I don't know if you have to have like more output, but I don't know. There are other people in the list that have a similar output who are on the list as well. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? All right, number 23, Smokey Robinson. I'm a Smokey Robinson fan. I'm a fan of his pen. I'm a fan of his discography and his songs. I just don't know that as a singer, I don't know that Smokey Robinson needs to be up here this high, though. I think he kind of could be a little bit lower. And some other artists that I saw further down the list could be a little higher, I think. He wrote My Girl, Tears of a Clown. He's got some incredible songs that he's written and sung on the early Motown days, helped build Motown along with Berry Gordy. He's a legend, all respect. I just don't know that I will put him there in my book. George Jones. I know that George Jones was a country singer. I don't listen to country per se, not like that on my own, so I don't really know much about him. I remember seeing, I think, Tales from the Tour Bus on Cinemax or something like that. Incredibly great show. I wish I could get the episodes. I think you can get them on YouTube or something like that. That's a really, really cool show, how they animated it, but they tell the story. I remember they had an episode about George Jones, so what I know about him is just basically what I saw on that show. He was a wild boy from what I understand. All right, number 25, Mary J. Blige. I don't know now. I'm a fan of Mary J. She's got an incredible career. So she's one of the ones, again, that I had to step back and kind of say, okay, let me see. But Mary J. has been in the game a long time, from Real Love and all the early hits in the 90s with Bad Boy, Uptown Records, all of that. And she is still active today, still doing her thing. She's acting on Ghost. She's doing, still making music. She performed at Super Bowl last year. So stuff like that cannot be disregarded. I think she has plenty of awards on her shelf in her name. So I don't think you can take that away from her. I just think as a pure T singer, once again, I saw some singers that are on the list that I feel like are better singers than her, but she's higher than them on the list. So I'm a little confused with the criteria, but I'm a Mary J fan. That's the girl. Number 26, Paul McCartney. Same as John Lennon to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure. Vocally, I don't know. As a singer, I don't know. Paul McCartney did kill with The Girl Is Mine, though, with Michael Jackson, though. He really did do his thing with that. He surprised me with a couple of the riffs and runs that he did on there. But 27, Dolly Parton. Great singer, great songwriter. She had a hit song go #1 or be a hit song twice with I Will Always Love You. She recorded that first, if you did not know that. And then for the Bodyguard soundtrack, Whitney Houston re-recorded it and it became a hit again. So that's incredible when you have a song that you wrote that was a hit for you, and then it becomes a hit as a cover song, 20, 30 years later. So really, really good stuff. 28, Mahalia Jackson. This was the only gospel singer on the list, which I thought was kind of crazy, because if you think about pure T singers, church and gospel is where it's at. That's where you find the people that do it, is in church. So Mahalia Jackson was the only gospel singer that was on here. So I thought that was, she definitely deserves to be on the list, but I thought it was weird that she's the only one representing gospel. No Tamala Mann, no Erica Campbell, no Yolanda Adams, no CeCe Winans, none of these other people who are like legendary gospel singers, the Clark sisters, Karen Clark Sheard, Dorinda Clark Cole, Twinkie Clark, like none of the people that are like pure T can go gospel singers, none of them are mentioned on here at all. No Donnie McClurkin, no Marvin Winans. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with, they're not representing gospel, but maybe it's more of a mainstream kind of thing. Maybe that's it. Chaka Khan, #29. I'm good with that. Yeah. Chaka Khan is always up there. Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, Aretha Franklin. These are all like female singers that I kind of put in a category. They just kind of in that era where they just can go. All right. Hank Williams. I know Hank Williams is another country singer. I don't know anything else about him other than that. He's #30. Luther Vandross, #31. Awesome pen game. Very unique voice. One of a kind voice. The velvet voice, as they say here. On with that. 31. Maybe, I guess that's fair. You know what I'm saying? He could be a little higher. I'm biased. David Bowie, #32. I don't know nothing about David Bowie. I know who he is, of course. I don't know much about him musically or like listen to his music, so I can't speak on him. Bessie Smith, blues legend. I think very inspirational. It says here she was one of Mahalia Jackson's favorite singers. So definitely inspirational person. With the lack of technology and the lack of like quality recordings and all that, we haven't heard much of her stuff. But if she was an influence on Mahalia Jackson, Dinah Washington, people like that, she deserves to be on this list for sure. Tom York, #34. I don't know who that is. I got to move on. Dusty Springfield, #35. I know that she did Son of a Preacher Man. I know that's the song that she did. I don't know anything else other than that about her. But I respect any genre and other crowds and audiences of people that are not mine who, they love their music. They love the music that they listen to as well. Kurt Cobain, influential. Yes, very influential to the grunge movement. I know that. As far as like singing, like vocal singing, I don't know much about his voice as far as being a singer, like a singer, like I don't know. But definitely songwriter and that sound that he produced and just influential as far as in fashion and music. The whole grunge movement kind of started from Nirvana and Kurt Cobain. 37, Van Morrison. I've heard the name, don't know much about him. I don't think I've ever heard any of his songs. Curtis Mayfield, the man, Superfly. People Get Ready. Great songs. I'm a big fan of Curtis Mayfield. That falsetto voice is one of a kind. Definitely needs to be on here. 38, I guess, is respectable for sure. Let's go. 39, Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong, I think, could be a little bit higher than 39. Definitely that voice, you know it immediately. There's nobody else who has lived on the face of the earth who has a voice like Louis Armstrong. He don't sound like nobody else. He needs to definitely be up here. Number 40, Aaliyah. Definitely Aaliyah fan. Her influence is definitely felt. It was definitely a tragedy. I remember where I was when I found out she died. I was in college in my dorm room, and I remember her dying. I saw the Rock the Boat video when that dropped, and I was like, man, I can't believe she's gone. She was really, I felt like with the Rock the Boat, she was about to go, and I felt it, but she was already gone, and it just was such a shame that they wrapped shooting on that video, and then she passed away. But she left, I think, a gaping hole in the culture where she was about to take over, and you saw other artists kind of fill the gaps, Beyonce and people like that kind of fill the gaps. So as far as influence, she definitely is on this list. Vocally, she had a very clean voice. It wasn't like a lot of runs and riffs, and it wasn't nothing amazing like that to me. But she had a very clean, pure voice, and it was nice. And she just was a trifecta. She could act. She was very pretty, could sing, could dance. She just had the it factor. So definitely Aaliyah's on the list. Etta James, number 41. I'm good with that. That's cool. Teddy Pendergrass. Definitely. See, these are people I'm talking about need to be on the list. People who have voices that are like unique. He can stand flat-footed and give you the business. That definitely 42 Teddy P. Let's see, Ariana Grande. That's cool. She definitely is a great singer. I'm not super familiar with her work like that, but she definitely is a good singer. My students and I were listening to her Santa Tell Me song around the holidays. So she's definitely got a great voice, great song. She actually can write as well. I don't know how big or large her discography is, but she's definitely on the list. I'm going to hit the first 50, then I'm going to hit these last couple of points because I want to keep the video kind of short. Number 44, James Brown. I feel like James Brown should be higher. He should be higher than this. He should be higher than this. Number 44. There's no other voice like this. Anybody who like starts a whole trend of music and a whole style of their own music needs to be higher on the list, I think. So James Brown need to be up a little higher. 45, Ella Fitzgerald. Found out she was also born in Virginia as well. A lot of people from that 757, Norfolk, Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach area. Shout out to them. Ella Fitzgerald, number 45. I can deal with it. Mavis Staples, definitely a legendary singer. She's another one of them singers that don't sound like nobody else. I'll Take You There, singing with the Staples singers, off the chain, Stax Records. Linda Ronstadt, I've definitely heard the name, but I do not know any of her music. Number 48. Rounding out the top 50, Toni Braxton. She definitely needs to be up there. Definitely a voice. Definitely has some big hits. Unbreak My Heart. Has some stuff with Babyface, some stuff with David Foster. You got them producing for you. You got some hits on your hand. Rod Stewart for sure. Super Sam Cooke fan. I do know that. So I know that Rod Stewart has a great voice. I love his song. Bring over some of those old Motown records. I love that song. I love that song by Rod Stewart. I love it. Joni Mitchell, rounding out the top 50. Joni Mitchell. I know she's one of those artists, once again, that's like a singer-songwriter. She's felt. She's definitely felt. I'm sure she has an amazing voice. I've just never heard her. The good thing about this list is that it kind of makes you kind of go and look at people and take another look at folks. Now, let's deal with some of the glaring ones. If you notice, in that top 50, there was no Michael Jackson. Michael Joseph Jackson was not in here in the top 50. Are you crazy? And I think what they did was when you go, he was number 86. I remember that. But what they did was they kind of wrote up stuff about his lifestyle, his personal life, and how that kind of affected where he ranked. Y'all got to stop that. Come on, man. If somebody's music is dope, if they are an influence musically, they're an influence musically. You can't write them off because you don't like something about their life. You know what I'm saying? Come on. I get it. I know this the times we live in, but come on, man. Michael Jackson, not in the top 10, not in the top 20, not in the top 50. Come on, man. Come on. Quit it. Somebody else, I'm trying to think. In this list, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, there's no Nat King Cole even on the list. No Nat King Cole on the list. That is craziness. How do you not have the man that built Capitol Records, the house that Nat built? How is he not on here? Are you nuts? I don't know what's going on. Maybe he'll be on next year's version, but Nat King Cole definitely needs to be on the list. Let's see. There were some more that I feel like should have been higher. There were two in particular. Brandy. I think Brandy was number 193 or something like that out of 200. Now, I mean, if you want to say her discography or her body of work or maybe her awards are just not as big of a reach into the pop field, I can understand that. But man, the vocal Bible is 193. That's kind of a snub, man. And Jasmine Sullivan made the list. I think she was 180. It might have been 187, or it was up there. It was pretty ridiculous that she was up there, because somebody who is killing the game like that. But once again, I think it's lack of hits. like real big hit songs, lack of crossover songs. But I think she's gonna start getting hers though. Mark my words, Jazmine Sullivan's gonna start getting hers. She's been at it a long time. She's a beast of a singer and a performer. And man, she ever come near Richmond, I'm going to go see her straight up. But yeah, those are some of the people that I kind of thought was just kind of ridiculous. I can't remember anybody else. I don't want to go through the list and start clicking around because I think I'm going to run out of time. I wanted to keep it short. But those are just some of my thoughts. Once again, I did it's not meant to be disrespectful of any of the artists. If I don't know who the artists are, I'm going to go study them and learn more about them. And I'm sure they're dope. I can't take nothing away from them. But there's some of the artists that I feel like could have been shifted a little bit, but they're still culturally important. So did they get it right? Did they get it wrong? What are your thoughts? Leave it in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, check me out whenever I post the new videos. I hope you have a great day and peace.